You're listening to Truly Unruly with Marcus and Jessica Trufant. Welcome to Truly Unruly, y'all, with Marcus and Jessica Trufant. How have you guys been? Have things been well this week?
I don't know. I mean, we're still at are we at the beginning? We're close to the middle of the week.
There's always some foolishness going on.
I know. I'm like, there's every day. It's
5
something.
different people to account for.
Yeah.
And we usually exclude ourselves from that. So we kind of don't matter while the kids are going through their drama.
Yeah.
And drama, I mean, just daily stuff, school and activities. And
yes. We had a full weekend of activities, actually.
yeah, kids are busy. But we still here. We still standing. We are still strong together. I'm reaching my hand out for the people that can't.
We're not both
I'm
still
out there
strong.
By myself. If I was
Nor
drowning,
are we both still standing.
I'd be dead right now.
Only one of us is. Oh my
now
God.
I take it back. Too late.
Oh,
No.
whatever. Ow, that hurt my shoulder.
All right. Well, today's topic, guys, is comes from a conversation that we had a few weeks ago about. Well, we had got comments, I guess, on a clip that we posted, and then we got some DMs, and then I actually personally got some text messages. And when we were talking about the thing of, black men wanting black women, but black women not wanting the black men because they act too white or whatever. So
did we talk about that?
We
talked about it briefly.
About dating outside of your race,
right? But because they act too white.
Well, that was just a snippet, of what the show about. It wasn't the whole show, but it was just like
we talked about that
comment. Yeah, we did.
Oh shit! All right, cool.
We did.
Go.
So the question of today is, why is it when black people have certain interests, it's considered acting white?
It's lame. That's like
because well, I mean, I think there's many reasons why, and it depends on the interest. Some black people don't come from an area or have the means per se or something like that to pursue the interests that the other partakes in. And so I think that is one of the reasons why. And, when you have, for example, snowboarding and skiing. How many black people do we know that do, well, besides for the black people we snowboard and ski with? Mm-hmm. Like everywhere we go, there's not very many black people. And I'm sure when we say we snowboard and ski, that is considered kind of a white sport. Right? And plus, we don't like the cold. So that's another thing. But no, I just think there's many different reasons why. Or, you're a hater and you wish you could do those things. And so it's like, oh, that's white. That's white. Oh, well.
Yeah, a lot of that's true, Jess. I agree with a lot of that, but it's just what you're exposed to, right?
Yes.
We talk about, I know on the last show, we talked about people that may talk white or what's perceived as white or not sounding black enough or doing black stuff, right? It's about your environment, what you're exposed to. And I think it's super lame. As a young person, I can kind of understand where some of that may be happening. There's some teasing or something like that. If somebody's different, if they stand out and they're doing different stuff, they may dance a certain way.
Well, nobody likes things that are different.
I know, but I'm saying as an adult, though, that's why, like I say, it's lame for people not to want to experience things or think, okay, that's only for white folks or a type of culture. I want to experience stuff. I want to do stuff. I want to be able, I don't want to put myself in a box, right? So,
right.
Yeah,
but
I just think it's lame, though.
We were exposed to it by a white person.
Still, though.
So it's like you don't get a bunch of, maybe
but
in
it doesn't
other
make us
states. Again, The Pacific
It doesn't make
North,
us less than, though, is what I'm trying
it doesn't make
to get
us
at.
less than.
Right.
But especially in the Pacific Northwest. I know last week I got on Instagram for a second and people were, men specifically, I don't know why men just hate themselves so much that they got to just project that fucking hate onto me. But they were talking about how that's not the case and this percentage, and not really percentage, but it's not like that everywhere. Well, guess what? It is like that in the Pacific Northwest. And in the Pacific Northwest, you don't see a bunch of black people doing a bunch of what makes something white?
And that's my point.
Wait a minute.
And as adults,
that's the
as a black
$1,000
community,
question.
yeah, we shouldn't be saying that, or we shouldn't stand for that unless it's kind of jokingly when you talk about things that are going on, maybe some type of murderous stuff, and I can get in trouble for this.
Oh,
some of it
This guy
doesn't sound like black people, right? And I mean, it's a joke, but
no, it is.
Maybe you can look at some of the stats and you can see.
It is not a joke.
Right.
The most violent people are specifically white men. They fucking preserved
By the numbers, huh?
slavery. They're the mass murderers. They're the mass rapists. They're like all thing. Netflix is really exposing it all because it's nothing but white men on these documentaries doing the most fucked up shit, starting cults, like having all these. Like I don't.
A good Netflix
what black people do that?
Yeah.
Like I literally don't think it's in us. It's not innate. It's not built in us to do that kind of stuff. Or maybe we feel like we do not have the power and the privilege and the prestige like, you know, white people do at times. And that's why, I mean, really think about it. Let's not talk about the fucking DC sniper as a mass killing and the people that be shooting at each other and shoot people in the process. It's not intentional, but the intentional things, scary. But everybody's still scared of black men. Okay, totally off topic.
Not really, though. I think it's on topic. And you talk about a regional thing. I've seen on social media, that's kind of where I get my news. I get all my facts and real information.
I get my news from him now.
There's groups of black folks that go out and do the skiing and the snowboarding and stuff
but
like that.
not here.
Right. I don't know how large a number that is, but in certain places, I don't even know exactly where it was. It gotta be, I don't know. I'm not sure, but it was groups of black people going out and doing the snowboarding, doing the skiing thing. If they can do it, kind of we can do it type of energy as well. So that's why I'm saying as grown folks, as grown black people, we should not be saying, okay, that's a white thing and we can't do that, or we can't talk to this person, or this person isn't cool because they're doing stuff that's outside of the black community. I think that's lame. That's super lame. And you're missing out on a lot
stuff
of
like that is expensive though. You have to keep that in mind.
Too.
That's another reason why you don't see black people in, especially I talked about this with my friends, competitive sports, unless it's football and basketball with young black boys. You do not, the amount of black people that you see in competitive cheer, competitive soccer, competitive dance,
even baseball too is pretty expensive.
It is far and few between. So your socioeconomic status has a lot to do as a black person with what you're exposed to, with what you do. But
if there's two black families or two black people there and one person has the means or they're exposed, the person that's not,
you put them on.
No, should not. Yes, you do put them on and you bring them with you, but the person that's not should not feel like, oh, they're doing a white thing or they're doing something that's outside the black culture. That's the wrong way to think about it. That's
well, what do you think white people say?
It don't matter what the white people say.
What would be like a black thing?
I'm talking about the black on black.
So
hate.
So there's a couple things I want to dissect this. You have, and I could just use my own experience.
Is that coffee?
You have black people that have said that will sit there and tell you what you do. That's white people shit, or you sound white, or you like white shit. I've even had white people say you're the blackest white person I've ever met. I even had a Hispanic person try to tell me that shit. And so my argument is, what I get pissed off is when somebody tries to tell me, or even someone else, like what it is to be black or what their blackness is, especially non-black people that do it. Because I'm like, how do you know what blackness is? How can you tell me what's being black? You've never even experienced being black. And then it's wild is within our own community, we have this problem and this thing. It kind of relates to this, but we have this thing with, oh, well, you act hella light skin. That's some light skin shit. Or that's some that's some dark skin shit. That's funny. You know, and you know what I'm saying? It's always been light is right, dark is wrong. And it's like
colorism.
Within our own community. So like, you know, that's another one that like really fucking gets underneath my skin. Cause I'm just like, if we really sit back and think about it, we all go through the same struggle, don't matter how light or how dark you are. You know what I'm saying? Now that people will say, oh, well, you know, if you're light skinned, you might get treated different, or you might, you know, white folks might treat you different because you may seem non-threatening or whatever the case may be.
Facts.
But at the same time, you still black. You know what I'm saying? And
you're still black.
You're still black. I don't know.
The drop of black rule.
That's it. And so in the Northwest, and, you know, as myself being someone that's from the Northwest, I grew up snowboarding. I grew up doing all that shit. And I think I was just exposed to it because there was nothing else to do in the wintertime, you know? And so, you know, it would be some of my Jewish friends or other friends. Their parents were like, oh, we're going up to the mountain. You want to come with us? Okay, cool. We're going up to the mountain. My mama and them ain't doing that. You know, I don't even know if my mom even know how to swim. You know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, my mom comes from an era. Yeah, think about it. My mom comes from Jim Crow.
It was different.
Jim Crow era where you weren't allowed to go to the pool. So
you weren't, so like, and if so, you would get
and so like that
you could die.
So like that mentality has been passed down. That's why there is a lot of black folks our age that don't know how to swim because their parents never knew how to swim. So it just they keep passing that down. So it's like, he's on the swim team. That's some white people shit, and it's like.
But it goes right back to the exposure, Kale. I mean, exactly what you was talking about, that your parents and your environment, man, and what's even allowed or talked about. I didn't even think about going skiing or going snowboarding as a kid. It's not something that was even on my radar because it just wasn't, right? It wasn't even something we talked about.
First of all, Kale, I can't believe your mom let you do that. I would get invited. My parents would be like, fuck no, that is dangerous. Keep your punk ass home. And funny about being exposed, my aunt was a ski instructor and I did not do any skiing or snowboarding, had no interest until I was an adult. But yeah, my aunt was a flipping ski instructor. Black people don't do that.
How long did she do that for?
Years.
Wow.
Years.
Wow.
Yeah, she would drive up to the mountain and don't know where, and ski.
I mean, it's just like now how like in the black community, how a lot of us have picked up golf. Like golf is now a real big thing in the black community. You would have asked brothers pre-Tiger Woods if they were playing golf, they look at you like like you were crazy. But I think that's another thing is that we saw someone that looked like us that was really, really good at it. So it was like, oh, well, shit. All right, I'm going to go try to play golf now, you know? And I feel like for a lot of these things, that's what it takes. It takes to see that one person that looks just like you and, you know, like, oh, okay, like, man, we out here. Okay, I'm going to go skiing now. I'm going to go snowboarding now, you know? Like, I used to skate. Like, I skated a bit. I BMX'd a bit, you know? And I was a kid that was running down Rainer Avenue on a BMX, jumping over stuff in the hood, like on my bike. You know, but like to me, it wasn't like, oh, well, it's a white people thing. The shit was fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so I don't know, man. I just think that as people, we miss out on a lot of really, really fun shit because of not being exposed to something or being exposed to it, but not wanting to do it because you're afraid that your peers are going to judge you for doing it.
Right.
So.
And I think that's a big part of it too.
White?
What's cool and what's fun, it's almost like, okay, you're a nerd because you get good grades type of thing, right? If you want to go out and you want to have fun, and again, especially as an adult, you should not be letting another adult make you feel a certain type of way because you want to go out and you want to live life and you want to try some new stuff, right?
They wish they could do it, though.
I know.
It comes from a place of insecurity. Like, if you're going to pick at somebody about that,
that's true.
Don't you wish?
But it's some people that's probably like, all right, and just like you said, your peers or your people who are around, you really just don't want to do things because you don't want to be made to feel
you don't want to
less than feel weak or feel like a nerd, feel like a square, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm still cool, I'm still hip, I'm in the hood, I'm doing it like this.
Yeah.
So
that's why I never did my work, because I didn't want to be labeled as a nerd.
You know what's weird is I didn't.
Shameful.
It is terrible. I didn't experience that until I started going to public school my sophomore year in high school. When I started going to public school my sophomore year in high school, and even as myself, someone that came from the neighborhood, like, I still did my shit. You know, like, I want to, you know, like, I don't want to be stuck in high school. Like, I want to be done with this shit. So I'm going to do my homework. I'm going to do my shit. But it wasn't until I started going to public school that I saw that dumb is cool shit. And I never wrapped my head around that. I was like, I don't get that shit. Because even going to like a private school that was with a bunch of hood kids, everyone still got their shit done. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like it wasn't until I started going to public school when I started seeing kids with truancy. I'm like, truancy? How do you not show up? You know what I'm saying? It was wild shit like that. I never wrapped my head around that.
Even though you went around with a bunch of hood kids, it was still a private school.
Yeah.
Different environment. Very different education, very different structure, very different motivation. Yeah. Parents are more involved, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, when you go to public school, when you went to public school, I'm sure that was like a big shock. Like, what is this? Even for my kids going from private to public, they've been exposed to things that I don't think they ever thought they would be exposed to, but it's good for them. Mm-hmm. They need to see how the real world works. So, you know, we were talking about like when you talk white and stuff like that. So I came from in pretty much all white elementary school. And when I transferred to middle school, there was a lot more Black kids, and they kind of all hung together. They all sat with each other at lunch, all that kind of stuff. So when I came in, naturally, I got made fun of because I was white. I was too white. I talked white, whatever. And at lunch, I would sit with my white friend and my Asian friend that came from my elementary school. And literally, it was like this. One day, it like came to a crossroads. All the kids sitting on the table, they were kind of like, why are you sitting there? Come sit over here. And I was kind of like,
what do I do? What do I do?
What do I do? What do I do? You know, I don't want to get talked about anymore. Seriously, I don't want to get made fun of anymore. I don't want to do this. So I got up, sat at that table, and never dealt with my friends again. I was forced to make a decision. I mean, what do you do when you want to fit in? I wanted to fit in. And deep down, I'm Black as fuck. So I felt like
as a young kid, that's tough though. That's
it was
tough.
Oh my God, they made fun of me. They called me white girl. Like it was tough. It was tough. I got made fun of outside of school too by other people. So it was just, my son is down here and he's like looking at me like, but yeah. So anyways, kind of story about how.
Yeah. Marcus, did you ever deal with anything like that? Or like the school you went to, was it predominantly Black? Well, I know you went to Wilson. Yeah, so I know Wilson was a little Caucasian.
Wilson was a melting pot, I would say that. But it was on the north end. It was like on what some may call the, I guess, the white side of town. But I pretty much went to all Black elementary school, right? Started playing sports on the south side of town on the hilltop. So my experience is kind of the opposite, right? I grew up on that side of town, friends for the majority, or I guess for the most part, we're all black, right?
Wait a minute. Sports. You tell me that you didn't even really know that like white kids pretty much existed when you were in school.
Not
because
like that,
it was,
but they were the minority.
Right. They were the minority.
After school, right? And it wasn't a big deal to me. I didn't really think anything of it. I just thought that was a norm because that was my environment, right? And that's what I grew up in. And I was always around black people. So when we transferred and we moved across town, and then it was more of a melting pot. So it was a different experience, right? So I never really had to deal with that. I felt like I got to experience a little bit of everything, but you see the differences and you see how people treat you and different stuff like that. So my foundation, what I think is a lot different than Jessica's experience. My family is blacker than black, right? So you talk about, I talk about the holidays and all the get-togethers, and every time we got together, that was my experience. So that was just the music and all the culture stuff that you get as a young kid. I was all in. I was black and I was proud about that. It was fun, and that's what we did as a family, right? So anything outside of that, I couldn't even see it. I didn't even, I wasn't even paying attention to that.
We're such opposites.
We were black and we were cool and we was doing our thing, right? So I was all in, and I was a dark boy, right? So I got made fun of on that side from, of course, our own people, but that's just how it was at the time, right? And I was a quiet kid, so that's just how it was. But I kind of got to hide behind sports. I was always good in sports, so I kind of always got that thumbs up, right? I was always cool because I was doing my thing on the sports field.
Still the same, being a black man. If you weren't an NFL player,
you get different doors open for you.
Would be shit on
absolutely
on a
that's
daily basis.
You get treated
so
different.
You still get the thumbs up. You've gotten the thumbs up your whole life.
But yeah, Kale, I didn't deal with that, man. I grew up on the black side, and I had a great black experience as a young man.
And I grew up on the white side. When Marcus first came to one of our family gatherings, he was like, what the fuck is this?
Y'all ain't even playing music. What is going on?
We play zero music.
Are y'all doing?
And when we did, we were line dancing. What in the all fuck is happening over here?
I start coming around. I start bringing bottles around.
He started bringing alcohol,
getting the old folks to drink,
all that kind of stuff. Yeah, no, it was a pretty sterile
Marcus,
get together.
Marcus got exposed to those black Catholics and was like, "Oh shit, this is different."
Yeah, I'm like, what is going on?
But then one of the first parties I went to with his family, everybody is fucked up, and his aunts go get this giant wine glass, pour a bunch of wine in it, and they're all passing it to each other.
Tradition.
And they pass it to me, and I'm like, oh no, nope, no, thank you, I can't do that. But yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
It was
what
a
is
party.
going on? What is your family doing?
Yeah,
you guys are all drinking off the same fucking wine glass. This isn't communion. But yeah, but I love his family. I love them.
It's funny because like my upbringing is like in the middle of both of you. So it's like my mom's side is like Jess's side. And Jess, you know that because our family went to the same fucking church. And then Marcus, my dad's side is like your side, which I didn't see a lot of them. But like when I did, they turned the fuck up, you know? And it's weird because like my grandparents lived in Mount Baker, which is this nice neighborhood. But then like I live on Othello in the hood in South Seattle. You know, so like I had this like thing where like I had like these white Jewish friends that were like in Mount Baker, but then I had like all my hood friends like in the neighborhood. And so like I got to see like both sides of the coin. Right. And so
and that's good. I think that's good as a young kid, especially. Yeah.
Well, it's great.
Balance.
Well, yeah. But then it helped me like develop what it is that I like. So like everything from like my music taste to like my fashion taste. It really like I was able to like to discover that and figure out who I am. So like I had a friend in school that used to always tell me, And he told me this now as adults. He goes, one thing I always respected about you, Kel, growing up, was that you always went to the beat of your own drum. You were never a follower. You were just always into what you like. So like, I'd be in the hood, hooping or have my headphones in kicking it. I'm listening to Marilyn Manson. You know what I'm saying? But then like an hour later, I got E40 in a major way playing. And so like, it would just, they'd be like, what the fuck is up with you? And I'm like, I like what I like. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's always, that's how I always figured out, what I like and who I was. And so I just feel like my point is for Black folks to just expose yourself to things, like don't hold yourself back of like, well, I don't like rock music. That's white shit. Motherfucker, we created rock music. You know what I'm saying? That Black people, we started that. You know what I'm saying? Like just
get educated. Yeah.
Yeah. Just educate yourself and expose yourself to more things, because you fuck around. You might, oh my God, I fucking like this. Like, this is actually cool. This is actually hella fun. It was my white friends that really got me into playing golf. Like, I wasn't playing golf before. And it wasn't until I got here to Vegas and my white and Hispanic homeboys are like, bro, you don't play golf? And I'm like, no. And like, now I've been playing golf like a madman. Yeah. Like, what are you doing, dog? Like, you live around 12 golf courses. You need to fucking play golf. I'm like, oh shit. And now it's my fucking favorite thing in the world to do.
Exposure, man.
Again, I grew up around golf.
Exposure for the...
My mom played golf. She had to, though.
I think that's a big thing that nowadays, I think it's not that much of the issue because of social media and all that kind of stuff. But if we look at our champions, our people that we look up to in sports and actors and the people who do music and stuff like that, they are those type of people that might have been looked at as squares or nerds because they were, going to the beat of their own drum, doing a bunch of different type of things, trying different things that weren't the norm, and it sets them apart, right? So that's something that we need to push.
It's about conforming. We're supposed to conform. Being set apart is bad. It's wrong.
Right.
It's to be made fun of. It's to be stopped.
But we got to push our youth, yes, to see that and to step outside the box. And that's how you go on to do great things, because you're not scared to step outside that box and go against the norm, exactly like you said. So, yeah, that's what all our champions are doing. Our Black champions are people that's doing it big.
And can I just say one last thing? I forgot to bring this up, but we had talked about this in the clip about the whole talking white thing, because that's the one thing that really fucking gets underneath my skin and is like my biggest gripe, is our ancestors were killed, maimed, raped, all kinds of horrific things done to them because they wanted to learn how to fucking read. Okay. And they wanted to be educated. And for the fact that people will sit there and tell a Black person that you sound white because of the way you talk, because you articulate and you speak proper. I ain't from the South. I don't got a Southern accent. I don't talk like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
So like and I don't speak Ebonics. Like, I don't talk like that. So to sit here and ridicule someone and tell someone that they are sounding, or they're trying to conform and be a white person because they speak properly, I feel like that is one of the most disrespectful things that you can say to a person, and disrespecting your ancestors, essentially. Because if you think of everything, like I think of like what my grandfather went through in the Second World War, what he went through growing up in New Orleans and Mississippi and wanting to go to school and having to fucking go to school in a church and use a church pew as his desk, and wanted to be educated, and then went on to become a fucking physics professor and be the first Black lead engineer in the Boeing aerospace program. And then you come and tell me that me speaking properly is me trying to be white. Yo, fuck you. Like, that shit pisses me off.
Yes, I understand. I mean, I went through that. I was absolutely made fun of for it. However, I don't know if we're disrespecting our ancestors, because even though they were beat because they wanted to read and be literate, that they came from where they had their own language, and the Ebonics or whatever, that came from all of that broken talk from when they were slaves. So essentially we, that is a form of, I can't remember, I read about it. It's a mixture of different things from our ancestors is where the Ebonics and stuff comes from. And so I don't necessarily think it's disrespecting our ancestors. If anything, we have lost our original, language because of conforming to whiteness.
Right.
Naturally, Black people do not talk white. Or talk like this. I don't believe Black people just walk around, and I don't think it's natural for them.
It's environment, though.
Well, it's
environment, how you grow up, and the people you grow up around.
Right, it's how you grow up, but I don't think that it was necessarily. It wasn't. White people are the ones that made us feel like speaking in Ebonics or speaking differently was bad.
Yes. And
so
that was going to be my point.
Right. And we've adopted the same ideals, and it's sad.
You guys are absolutely right. What I'm saying is that those steps of going through Ebonics and things like that are the steps and the catalyst that got us to be able to get to the point now that we can't, that we can speak proper and it's accepted and it's okay. Because it's like, you gotta think about it. It's like there was a time that we weren't allowed to get higher education, right? Like there was a time that white folks didn't want us to learn English. They didn't want us to know the King's English. They didn't want us to know what they were saying about us and what they were planning to do to us. So for us to smarten up, and our ancestors that made it over here on the voyage, which, our ancestors are the strong ones because they're the ones that made it here, they smartened up and it's like, I want to know what they're saying, And so as us being a people that really don't have a home to go back to, like disrespecting somebody for being educated or being able to speak well, I just look at it as just being fucking disrespectful, because we have come so far from that voyage over the sea to get to this point where we can go to school, we can become educated, we can own businesses, we can play professional sports, we can do all these things, you know what I'm saying? And then still be told, oh, well, you're just trying to assimilate to somebody else. Like, goddamn, what that's all that hard work sounds like that was for nothing then. Right. So
you can still be smart, educated, and talk. I don't even know what it means to talk Black, but I know what it means to talk white because that is everything, right? That's the right way to talk.
To be honest, and let's be fair, not all white people in all regions are talking as proper as we're making this.
This is true too.
As well. So
you're right.
So what I'm gonna say is when you're talking, it is about your education and about how you communicate with people. People have accents from different regions and stuff like that, and that's just their environment. That's how they grew up. It doesn't make them smarter or sound dumb just because in another region it sounds like this. Maybe in the Northwest or on the West Coast it sounds like this. You go down south and it sounds differently. Okay, it's a little slow in the south, but
it's down
that's
south.
That is a stupid way to think. That's not true. That's not how it works. So it's
but it is how it works. It shouldn't work.
That's
like
how people think. Yeah, right, that's how popular culture has taught us to think. But at this point, I think most people are smarter than that, or the people that I deal with understand that that's not the case, right? I don't partake with people that are gonna put people down just because the way they sound or gonna look at them a certain way. That's stupid, and it's not the type of people I care to be around. So you talk about Kale, you talk about the ancestors and all that stuff, and the disrespect. Yeah, but it's a go forward thing, and how do you grow and how do you build a community, especially in the Black community, because we're so split up, right? People from the West Coast, should be able to get with the people from South and grow and do business and make money together and make it happen, man, and grow the community and not have to worry about the BS.
We're different.
Well, I'm just saying in general.
Definitely different.
I'm just saying black people in general.
Right.
Well, like for instance, real quick, because I know we're running out of time, but do you guys know where the Southern accent even comes from? Because I can tell you right now.
No, I don't.
What is it? A mixture of, I don't know.
It's a mixture. It's a mixture of British and Scottish accents. Okay, it's pretty much you take the British and Scottish accent and you pretty much draw it out and you slow it down, and that's pretty much where the Southern accent comes from. You go like to places like in the like Maryland and like Baltimore, how they talk, this do and do all that. That comes from the French. You come from where we're from in the Northwest. And it's funny, us from the Northwest. I go places and people are like, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, I'm from Seattle. They're like, you just have this weird accent. And there's an accent that we have up there that comes from the British, from the British settlement. So like, that's where a lot of these accents and stuff come from. So like to sit there and ridicule somebody of how they talk because they don't talk maybe with a certain accent or don't have a certain dialect that you may predominantly hear in highly concentrated black areas in the country. Like your accent comes from white people. Like that's the reason you even have that.
Funny.
You see what I'm saying?
We went to Jamaica and the girls, they was playing with those girls and the Jamaican girls was telling our girls, we love your accent.
Right. They were like, we love your accent. And they were like, oh, wow, thank you.
Right.
I don't know, but I don't think all accents. I think there's parts of white people in accents because again, we had to conform, but I still think some of the whatever, some of it I read about it. I can't remember what it said, but yes, there are influence. That's like in what part of like the Bahamas or something where they speak French or it's because of the colonizers and making you speak that language and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so it's a mix of African and that's where that stuff comes from. Because the people that were brought over from Africa that live in the Caribbean, and slaves, they mix their native language with British, French, Portuguese, all of that kind of stuff. All of the colonizers.
Yeah, I mean, my grandma was Creole and my grandma spoke broken French. My grandfather spoke broken French. I got Afro-Cuban roots. So I know exactly what you mean. Like, I get it. I feel you. This is just one of those topics I feel like that we can go on for hours about. And I just think until, we understand that we all we got, we gotta chill.
We're all we got, but we cannot shit on each other at the same time.
Be open to other people's differences. That's the thing, right?
Right.
Everybody don't have to be the same. Everybody don't have to sound the same or do the same shit.
And no matter how white you may talk or however hood you may talk, the first thing that speaks for you is your skin color. So
that part. Cool. All right, y'all. Good conversation, man. Truly Unruly, Marcus Trufant, Jessica Trufant. My name is Kel. Listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. And of course, like, subscribe, leave a review. Catch us on YouTube. Also, if you want to catch the visual, listen to us also on Converge. If you want to follow us on social media, you can follow us all things social at trulyunruly_podcast. And if you have any questions that you would like for us to answer here on the show, email us trulyunrulypodcast@gmail.com. Boom. Word. All right. Cool. Till next time. Peace and much love.